as part of an effort by the State Department, foster a close relationship between my country, the United States, and South Africa. In this case, we have a large presence here, and in this case, in conjunction with the State Department, meeting with the leadership in Pretoria, Swanee, meeting with the leadership in Joburg to talk about shared experiences, best practices, common playbooks. This is easy to do on the level of a global city. There's some things that all cities do. So it's very easy to share information there. Harder where there are shared challenges, but different ways of approaching it, different ways of experiencing it, different ways of addressing it. So one example would be the way we finance our cities. There are some common principles, but cities here in South Africa have different financial capabilities. Cities in the United States have different financial capabilities. So addressing their financial challenges is different, but again, they're shared experiences.
Our impression, I think, as South Africans of Washington, D.C. is glamorous. The White House, the big buildings. And maybe there's a bit more awareness now during the presidential inauguration. There were protests close by, apparently poor areas. And that, we struggle with that dichotomy, rich and poor. So just describe, I mean, we see this glamour, but you described when you came in 1999, crime was out of control. Tell me the situation and the turnaround plan.
Well, the turnaround plan was taking over the city, and the first was basically building, a community, a shared spirit in the city, respect for the city, getting the city work. Key part of that was public trust, restoring the finances of the city, rebuilding the government agencies and departments of the city. In the case of public safety, rebuilding the police department, the public works issues, investing in schools. I mean, basic things that restore this community, allow the government to begin to bring in increasing numbers of investors, amounts of investment, citizens, and creating a positive cycle. And I think the same thing can accrue here in South Africa. Both countries are divided with their different histories, but I think our history, and I think the history here is that you can get beyond that,
I was quite heartened because you spoke about political appointments, which is something we often complain about, even government realizing it hampers efficiency. How did that situation change? Just tell me what you were discussing.
Well, I think, in my mind, I'm a big believer that it's not a matter of distancing government from politics. It's just getting the right politics in government. I mean, politics really represents a practical way to apply the will of the people. Now, you can do that in a wrong, stupid way, or you can do it in a positive way. I happen to believe, in my experience as an elected official, that you can actually use democracy toward social good. It can achieve a good end, but the same way there's a right way to fly a plane, the same way there's a right way to operate on a person, there's a right way to exercise democratic leadership.
So it's balancing politicians and technocrats.
It's about, in the case of democracy, it's about having a respectful conversation with your constituents. You respect them, they respect you. How do you build that respect? How do you carry on that conversation? How do you use that trust to carry you through the bad times so that in a democracy you can make some tough decisions? In a democracy you can prioritize. In a democracy there is accountability.
Final question. In Joburg, we're having people flooding in from all parts of South Africa, from all parts of Africa. Joburg is a melting pot. Problems with urbanization. You were talking about shared public spaces and trust. Is there any wisdom you can impart? Where do you start?
Well, any mayor will tell you that immigration's a good thing. People are immigrating for a better life for their families. The way I put it, I don't want to criticize any group of people, but lazy people don't immigrate. It's an energetic, entrepreneurial...
and they often start businesses.
Thank you. These are tough people who are immigrating. This historically, over eons, the power of cities have been people who've immigrated to cities for a better life. If you look at the Financial Times saying, in the global economy, in the Western countries, right, what we've got to do is figure out a way to restore the engine of growth in all of our countries. Big part of growth is not big companies coming to a city, it's organic growth in that city. And one of the spectacular assets that South Africa has is this incredible entrepreneurial zeal of so many of its people in the informal economy, and immigrants are a big part of that. I would celebrate that and glorify that and harness that in every way I could.
Anthony Williams, former mayor of Washington, D.C. That's a wrap from the business team.